So in 2003, I don't even know how to say it, but my life changed in a matter of a couple of seconds, right? I went from somebody who had never gotten in trouble before to getting sentenced to 144 years. Nobody lost their life. Nobody was even physically harmed. But I was lost. I didn't know the legal system. My family didn't know it either. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have the ability to get the right type of attorney. Well, it happens every day. And that's why we're here now. We're here to tell the stories, the truths about what goes on behind those prison walls and those courtrooms, the fights that y'all don't see, y'all don't know, things we've had to endure, things we've had to overcome, and the harsh reality of what we'll call the injustice system. Welcome to our world. Hear our stories. Hear our truths. Welcome to the voices.
Peace to the planet Earth, and as always, thank you. Thank you for everybody joining us here on the platform. Excuse me if I'm looking away. I'm still sharing this, blasting this out. We old school. We manually sharing. I don't really know how to operate, everything that I probably could by now, but I'm about to get into it for the rest of 2024. The top of the hour. Definitely want to shout out everybody that's pushing the content on the TikTok page. You can check that out, Christopher Life Willers. It's all justice impacted content. It's me telling the story of somebody that was sentenced to 144 years and telling the stories of so many others that are incarcerated, going through things in life, that are reaching out to me, just want me to express their story. The key point of why I'm saying that is in the last 3 days, we reached over 500,000 people in views. And it's all justice impacted content. We've got a lot of people in support. You got some trolls, but most importantly, you got dialogue. Getting into today, into the topic of today. We're speaking specifically to the fact and the point that oftentimes we differentiate prisoners' rights from human rights. It cannot be emphasized enough that if you are incarcerated, you should still be granted certain things, including safety and protection, nourishment, medical treatment, mental health. Certain things should still be in a place because you're human. Even in prison, you're supposed to be guaranteed your safety. This is why correctional officers and staff are being paid taxpayers' money, just like you and me. Tonight, we'll be discussing a absolutely horrible case. Prayers to the family. It's already in the news. That's why we feel comfortable in discussing it. I brought back Miss Emily Barnes will be coming on in a second. She's been up here 1,000 times. She's like an unofficial co-host. So she'll be speaking more to the point because she's there, boots on the ground in Oklahoma. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually play the video clip for the story we're about to get into. And I need you guys to really pay attention to what happened.
Walls. News 4's Taylor Mitchell has new details.
According to the state medical examiner's report, the inmate's death was ruled a homicide. The report also says there was no evidence of anyone intervening to save his life.
The medical report was very emotional to read. This man was hogtied. He was beat repeatedly. The stuff they did to this man, it's hard to believe that somebody can do that to a human being, especially somebody in the same situation as them.
Emily Emily Barnes, director and founder of Hooked on Justice, an Oklahoma prison advocacy organization, says she started receiving calls from inmates at the Lawton Correctional and Rehabilitation Facility about Raymond Bailey's murder.
It had to be multiple people. There was too much done to him.
Bailey was serving a 40-year sentence for second-degree murder. According to the state medical examiner's report, Bailey was in a fetal position, fabric stuffed in his mouth as a gag, and his hands and feet tied together. It also notes 4 small empty milk cartons were covering his body inside a plastic bag.
These guys are not safe inside. The staff isn't safe.
According to the ME's report, Bailey's death was caused by sharp and blunt forces to the body, plus gagging and binding.
The system isn't fixing them. The system is making them worse. The system is turning them into do stuff like this. And that's what people need to realize. We are not rehabilitating people. We're making them worse.
In Lawton, Taylor Mitchell, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, Taylor, thank you.
I'm gonna let you get into it because that was actually the first time I watched the news clip straight through. I had seen something on YouTube from the clip you had sent me earlier. I was on his platform, the guy Def, like 23 and Lockdown 23 and 1. Shout out to him. And he touched on it. So I seen bits and pieces, but it was, late night one Saturday or whatever, a couple days ago or whatever. I'm just watching the clip in its entirety, and then anything else I know is really based on our discussion. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that you were the one in the interview. The first time I looked at the clip, right? I know. Shout out to Hooked on Justice. Shout out to my sister Emily Barnes. She's been up here 100 times already. Hopefully everyone knows her. But before we get into this, if you can you just speak to who your organization is, who you are?
I am the founder. I am the founder of Hooked on Justice. I am a nationwide organization. My main goal really is Oklahoma, but I do fight in all states. I have a son locked up here. So Oklahoma is my home. A lot of stuff goes on here, as well as every other state. I mean, it's the same issues in every state right now with being short-staffed. But this story here, this one brought tears to my eyes. I'm not going to lie. I cried over this one. And I did kind of think to myself, like, wow, this is people that I'm advocating for.
Yeah.
It questioned my advocacy. Like, why am I fighting so hard for people and they're doing this? But then I had to realize the system is doing this to them.
Right.
And I can't stop. So,
it
was a hard one.
I remember I was on Greensville Correctional Center, and individual lost his life violently. And they didn't find him underneath the stairs for hours, right? But even us then, we're like, yo, how did you not find this guy through a count time? Because they cleared count and everything, right? And it was just a couple hours for us, but I remember the panic and the talk amongst the guards. In this case, this is an individual that lost his life and was placed inside of a trash receptacle.
So, I'm going to start with me waking up to phone calls in the morning.
Yeah.
And we'll just go from there. So about 7 o'clock in the morning, I got about 15 phone calls from the guys inside. I was getting messages on Secures. Hey, there's a dead body in the trash can. I'm like, what? Yeah, he's been there all night. What do you mean he's been there all night?
Was that before? Well, was that before the media got it? Was that ground zero? The guards found it, and then people started calling their families, and then advocates, obviously.
Actually, people were calling families, and we were the ones calling the prison, telling them that there was a dead body. And what's crazy is they lock down at 10 o'clock at night. They're supposed to do checks every hour.
So you had to notify them. They got notified from the inside out.
Yes.
They didn't even know. They're in charge of security, cameras, guards, staff, observing, particularly supposed to be looking out for violent offenses that may be occurring within the institution. But you're saying the guys that were locked up had to call their families, which got in touch with you,
Yeah, and they were all calling me.
and then
I mean,
you had to call in there to notify them.
yeah, I was telling families, man, I need everybody to start blowing their phone up because they weren't believing us. But my issue is this: they locked down at 10 o'clock at night. They're supposed to do count at 10, then every hour through the night. They pop the doors at 7 a.m. They do count at 10 o'clock. This man's body was not found until about 10:20 in the morning. How? How did they go all night and nobody not know that this man was missing? Because nobody did counts. And it's proof.
No counts, no round. I want to go back to the part where you said they didn't believe you.
Oh, yeah, they didn't believe us. I mean, would you believe anybody? I mean, honestly, if somebody called you and said, hey, there's a dead body in your trash can, are you going to believe them?
I mean, for me, but then again, you know, I'm gonna check. But maybe that I just feel like it's crazy that whether you believe it or not, that's a crazy call. I got to check this out, especially if somebody's saying like, if I don't know how specific the call was, I don't know,
Oh,
you know,
I was
but
very specific. You know who I am. They know who I am. I'm going after the warden's job right now. I'm well known at this prison. They know who I am. They know I'm not calling on no bull crap. Every time I call this prison, I got proof.
that's
You
crazy.
know, but when you call, you get you get a what are those people? An operator. They don't
Yeah,
know what's going on inside the prison. They just connected to people, and because they know me, they just don't put me through to people. They won't let me talk to nobody. So I had to have other people starting to call. I mean, it took I think it was about 30 phone calls. But yeah, they waited till they did count and at 10 o'clock, and that's when they realized he wasn't there. And he was found in the trash. But these guys knew this. The guys inside knew this all night long.
I'm just sitting. I'm just. You gotta. I mean, you do understand. We talk outside. It's obvious, but it's like I'm a guy. I did 17 years, and I've seen some things. I made the world tour, as they say, in Virginia, from max to low. I've seen some bad things, but I'm just trying to think about the demeanor or the culture in that block or the fear instilled, or I don't know. Because at the end of the day, it's anybody that's watching this, whether you're incarcerated or not, there has to be a point where you say something. You see somebody getting put inside of a trash can. I don't care. Street code, morals, prince. That's somebody's son, father, nephew, brother. And I'm just thinking, you know, for me, I'm just going to say, man, I'm glad for the gentleman that did reach out. But man, for anybody else, it might have turned their back,
But
man.
here's the catcher, though. So when they were calling me, they were telling me that his head was decapitated. They said, there's a man in the trash with a decapitated head. I'm like, what? They cut his head off? Really? What? Well, to find out, once I got because I did get the autopsy report, which you've seen it. His neck was
Yeah.
broken 2 spots. So his head was behind him, and they literally stomped him into this trash can. So it looked like he didn't have his head on. It looked like it was cut off because his head literally was behind him in the trash can. How does somebody not see that? This man was hogtied. This man was beat for a good hour, at least. I mean, more than one person was involved in this. There's no way one person did all this. They had to carry this man to this trash can. How did nobody see this happening?
What is the feedback? What is the response? What is the conversation? Is there investigate? What can
Um,
you talk about? What do you know?
from my
Because I
understanding, they do know who did it. They were sent to a lockdown facility. I'm assuming charges will be filed eventually. They better be filed. I mean, I hope they're filed. They need to be filed. That was that was a horrible death. That man was tortured.
that's what somebody just asked. Are they doing anything to the individuals that were involved? And nine times out of
DO,
ten, Hmm?
DOC gives a vague response. You guys all know how DOC is. Oh, well, we can't speak because we're under investigation. And then it's, well, this is a GEO issue because it happened at the private prison, but you're still contracted with them. They're still your inmates. They're DOC inmates. You know what I mean? So
Fact.
DOC is being vague with what they're saying too.
Humanization Project said that the cameras catch anything. That's a good. Or did the footage disappear? I wonder.
Um, I can tell you this from past experience dealing with this prison. Half the time the cameras don't work. And that's the excuse we get. Well, the cameras weren't working at the time. So I'm pretty much assuming that's probably what it is, but don't quote me on that.
I just know this was over nothing. Somebody said it might have been an inside or the inmates paid a guard off or something. It might have been an inside job or the inmates paid a guard off or something. Excuse me.
Well, there is a couple rumors going around. I heard it was over debt. I heard it was gang related. I heard that he owed somebody or got into it with somebody. I honestly can't get to the truth on
Right.
that.
Right.
So right now I'm not going to speak on that because I really don't know the truth. But what
Yeah.
I do know is the rumor that was going around about this man's head being cut off, a CO started it. A CO started that rumor.
Misinformation.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, well, to the inmates, yeah, but it was purposely said by a CO who laughed about it, thought it was funny that this incident even happened. But 3 COs did get fired over this.
Hopefully that individual was one of them.
Well,
Because
the
it's-
sad thing is, because they got fired, they can turn around and DOC will hire them because technically they were a GEO employee. So
A
they'll
private.
just get. Mm-hmm.
Which, you know what? I seen that a lot between Lawrenceville and Greensville in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
They leave one spot and they'd show up at another. Like, yo, he was just here.
Yeah,
So
and
that-
because they have experience, they hire them, and we're so short staffed right now, that they'll hire anybody that walks in that door.
is can you speak to? I want to get back into the because I was just thinking, is that prison known to be
Oh, yeah.
violent? Is it a level 4? Is it? I mean, what is? Can you
So-
speak to the climate there? Because somebody's saying the director should be held accountable. Also, he knows the violence that's going on in the prison and still does nothing about it.
But see, that's the issue, is when you call DOC about it, they're like, well, that's a GEO issue. You need to call them. So
That's
when you call
wild.
GEO, they play it off and like, well, you need to call DOC. So you never get an answer. You never get an answer because they play back and forth off of each other. But back to your, I'm sorry, what was your question again? I just totally
Just
forgot.
is that prison known? You
Oh,
said
yeah.
it is historically
That
violent.
is, Lawton is our worst prison here.
It's the worst one in Oklahoma.
I mean,
Are
we
they-
have OSP. It's called Oklahoma State Penitentiary. That is where the bad of the worst go.
Uh-huh.
Lawton Correctional Center is way worse than that prison. This is where they send all the gang members. Half the people there are STG'd.
All in one
One-
spot.
The word is once you get to Lawton, there's only 2 ways you're leaving. You're either leaving dead or you're checking yourself out and getting transferred. That's the only 2 ways. Once you get there, you're not leaving that prison.
Man, prayer. Somebody just put Lord have mercy. My nephew is there. Got there last week. And we're not here to discourage, man. I will say that, I was on some of the worst camps, NVA, not Oklahoma. And I do know guys that went through unscathed. Shout out to Lord Unique, man. I watched him like 20 years, never got into a fight. It's possible. But obviously violence is evident. And when you're going on into an institution, there's already that kind of culture. That's what it's known for. It's kind of like
But they force it.
preparing yourself.
They honestly, they force it. They put Bloods on units with Crips. They put UABs on unit with
Oh, yeah.
Irish mobs. And then somebody will tell you, like, hey, I'm not a gang member. We don't care. They're going to leave you on that unit anyway. That they force a lot of the issues that go on.
We're nothing but numbers. Are they doing anything back? Somebody asked about the director, but is there any conversation about the warden? Are they saying, hey, how did you let this happen on your watch? Like, it's just.
It's been nobody's speaking. Nobody's speaking right now. The warden, you're never going to, I can't even get a response from the warden.
Of course not. Yeah.
The warden don't ever respond. You can't ever get a hold of them. DOC throws policy at you. How are you going to throw policy at me and you're not even following your own policy? Because guys obviously aren't doing cell checks like you're supposed to.
No, they're not doing rounds. They're supposed to do
And
them every
obviously
hour.
you're not because you followed 3 of your workers over this.
Somebody
You
just
know,
said, "How?" Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. My
I know,
fault.
go ahead.
Somebody had put in a chat, "How do we get it closed?" That's a valid question in 2024 because you can get prisons. They're closing them. It's going to be
Man,
take
I
some
just
work.
need everybody to help me. I mean, I've really been fighting this prison alone. I just keep exposing stuff. I have COs coming to me telling me stuff. Um, we have a director that does not know how to run corrections. He doesn't.
Look, they
He's a
just
businessman.
they just put in the chat. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't see the names on the StreamYard chat. It says the director has no experience in this field. He is not qualified, and that is why DOC is getting worse. Right as you were saying that.
Mm-hmm. And he's correct. I know who that is.
Okay. Somebody
Man,
said,
y'all, please, y'all, just reach out to me. Inbox me, Emily Barnes on Facebook, or look up Hook on Justice. Reach out to me.
"Put your Can you put your email in the chat?" I don't know
Yeah.
or what.
I can't.
Let me see. Hold on, Emily.
It's eShelton,
Oh yeah,
HOJ, at
sure.
Gmail.
Sure.
But every day there's something going on in this prison. Just the other day, 2 COs got jumped at another prison. Here.
You serious?
It in the shoe. It happened in the shoe. Got hit with a friggin' fire extinguisher. How does that happen in the shoe? It's eShelton.
Oh, what I just put?
Emily, no, it's just eShelton.
Oh, my fault. Hold on. Let me get it back right.
Well, reach out to me.
HOJ. Oops.
I'm
I'm putting the email in the chat, guys, so you can connect.
I can't see names in the chat. Who was
Yeah, I
the
can't
one?
either.
Who was saying that they're going to be in Tulsa on
Oh,
March
right
2nd?
here.
Yeah.
Um.
Please reach out to me.
Yeah, anybody that's gonna be boots on the ground in Oklahoma, please, y'all, make sure you're reaching out. I'm gonna see if I can find out who that is really quick. That's Melissa Bott. Shout out to Melissa.
Okay, Melissa, reach out to me, please.
Yep. And then you've
The
got,
one that's saying there's supposed to be 2 officers in SMU. There was 2 because 2 of them got jumped.
and you got a Tina Jackson. She's saying she's in Oklahoma and she's willing to
Okay.
help as well.
Thank
Guys,
you,
make
Melissa.
sure you email Emily. There goes her email right there. Somebody said there's supposed to be 2 officers in SMU. You just spoke to that. I will through our Granite group.
Okay.
And we've chat Emily. It's Melissa from Colorado. Boom. Yep. So there's people, man. Just make sure I'm gonna put her email back up for the rest of it. Just make sure you're connecting. This story, the reason we're highlighting it, and I just want to say this: there's a lot of I don't even know. Like there's people that highlight stuff like this for corny reasons, not the right ones. I have lost brothers behind those walls. I lost a brother in particular, brother Anthony. He was 2 days before he was supposed to go home. It was a Saturday, and he was supposed to go home Monday. I knew a young man by the name of Rambo who lost his life 3 months before he was supposed to go home. So I take the loss of life, especially behind those bars, anywhere. But behind bars, serious because it's not discussed, and we're looked at as cattle. We're looked at as numbers, stock. Hey, he's gone. We're gonna move another one right into his bunk. He's gonna do the same, job. I'm not saying, but it's all a system and it's vicious. So I just want to say thank you again, Emily, for hopping up here, speaking on it. We got some more comments coming in.
That's one thing that the news was involved. I did an interview with the news earlier today. That's what he showed at the beginning of this. The news is very involved. I have connections with the news, so it's out there. And there's other news reports on it too. And that's the thing, I play both sides of the fence. If a CO's in the wrong, I'm going to expose them. But there's a lot of good COs. I mean, there is. They're all not bad. as much as I want the COs to go home at night, I want all these guys to go home. And for the ones that aren't going home, they don't deserve to go through this. You know, I mean, this death was horrible, y'all. I mean, it was horrible. Just the... I'm not even really touching on all what was in that. Oh, damn, did we lose Chris? On what was all in that autopsy report. But what I read, that man suffered. That man suffered. And it wasn't right. I don't care what he did in there. You know, I mean, it's got to end. We need programs. We need rehabilitation. They're not rehabilitating people. And here's proof of it.
I just had a full-on, like, quick blackout, and then everything just cut out. You're still here?
I was like, oh, he's gone. Okay, I'll just keep talking. I am your, like, co-host now.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I could have just stayed off for the rest of it, for real. Yeah, but I want to pull up some of these comments, guys. We're nearing the end. What we wanted to do, we had spoke, is we're going to start highlighting certain clips, certain stories. Somebody just said, did you hear about the 215 plus inmates? Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes, I'm involved with that too right now.
Yeah. But we're going to show a clip of a story we're getting ready to go into or to speak about further in depth. Again, another story that's already been reported. That's why we feel confident in showing the footage. Again, it's always nothing but prayers to the victims and respect. These are just educational points. Everybody doesn't learn audibly. Sometimes you have to, give visuals. So
just real quick before you start playing it. The video he's about to show is at a prison here called Allen Gamble. DOC just took this prison over. It hasn't even been a year yet. It was a private prison. This prison has gotten worse. And this is what's going on now since DOC took it over.
No. Is there anything else you wanted to, before I pull it up, Emily? Because I'm going to go ahead and start with this.
I just want you guys to see this video and stay tuned because we're going to come back on and talk about it. There's actually 6 videos altogether. So you're just seeing a little clip. We got more to tell.
And remember, guys, it's not a prisoner's rights thing. It's a human rights thing. Right. And that's it. Let's pull it up.
Get that nigga. Get that nigga. Get him, nigga. Get him. Get him. Get that nigga. Get that nigga. Get that nigga. Let me get out of there. Got in there on the hey, some gloves by my ice chest. Some gloves by my ice chest. Shut up, nigga. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Look. Nigga, 90s, nigga.